Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Qonita Annavidza, and today in this occasion I will presenting my thesis proposal for seminar on thesis proposal final test. My title of research is an analysis of lesson plan in the intercultural reading course class at English Education Department, Majapahit University. Chapter 1. Background of the research. The lesson plan is an inspirated part in learning because if there is no lesson plan, there will be no clear structural plan and series, and it might be confusing for the teacher and the students. Brown 2011 also states that the lesson plan has major influence to achieve the successful teaching and learning process. Meanwhile, teaching English has to also involve intercultural aspects in order that students can develop their awareness towards the differences of the culture of the target language. The intercultural teaching and learning English can be incorporated with reading skill activities as suggested by Uso Juan and Martinez for 2008. Formulation of the problem. Number 1, what are the components they include in the lesson planning of the intercultural reading course? Number 2, how's the lesson plan is implementing in the intercultural reading course class? Objective of the research: to know the components they include in lesson planning in the intercultural reading course, to know how the lesson plan is implementing in the intercultural reading course class. Significance of the study for the teacher. I hope this research will help the teachers to know, select, and the specialty of the learning course. And for the researcher, with this research, I hope it will help the next study to analyze lesson plan in the intercultural reading course. Review study: teacher constraints in preparing lesson plan to classroom by Ibu Tudian Yuristanisi, and lesson planning in EFL classroom, a case study in lesson plan preparation and implementation, and intercultural teaching and learning English through reading skill. The research gap. The first journal focused on lesson plan through Google Classroom. While this research is on offline learning, in the intercultural reading, the second journal focused on preparation and implementation of lesson plan in teaching English with no specific subject, and the third one is analysis generally teaching intercultural through reading skills. Specifically in analysis the lesson plan. Chapter 2, literature review. Lesson plan. A daily lesson plan is a written description of how students will move toward attaining specific objectives. It describes the teaching behavior that will result in student learning. Richards 1998 stressed the importance of lesson planning for English language teachers. Is the success with which a teacher conducts a lesson is often to depend on the effectiveness with which the lesson was played. Mulyasa 2011 also states that a lesson plan is a plan which describes procedures and management of study in order to reach one or more basic competencies regulated in the standard of content and extended in the syllabus. It directs a teacher in the appropriate direction toward achieving predetermined objectives. It also aids a teacher in assessing and evaluating themselves in order to apply new tactics and strategies. In other words, lesson planning is a daily work for each class which a teacher is going to teach. Intercultural language learning. Language and learning are terms that have correlation. In intercultural language and learning are fundamentally interrelated concepts. Lidicott et al. 2003 46 mentioned that intercultural language learning involves the fusing of language, culture, and learning into a single educative approach. In terms of learning, students engage in developing cultural competence from the beginning of their language learning, as Crozet et al. 1999 said. Literature review: goals of intercultural language learning. Lidicott et al. 2003 explained that at a global level, the goals of intercultural language learning are as follows. The first is understanding and valuing all language and cultures. The second is understanding and valuing one's own language and culture. The third is understanding and valuing one's target language and culture. And the fourth is understanding and valuing how to mediate among languages and cultures. The last is developing intercultural sensitivity as an ongoing goal. Intercultural English learning through reading activities. Developing intercultural competence can be implemented through reading comprehension, said Ronsenio 2018. One of important teaching process for reading comprehension is to choose the reading material. Besides, teachers should create their own libraries as well as design their own reading plans, said Harmer 2005. Reading activities in intercultural English. There are some samples of reading activities in intercultural English class as suggested by Yuzo Juan and Martinez for 2008. The first is critical reading. In this activity, students are given text and they make judgments about how the text is argued. The second is cultural bump, which is a situation that causes people to become uncomfortable or strange to particular cultural beliefs and attitudes, then write and discuss about it. And the last is activities that focus on written genres or cultural extensive reading. Chapter 3. Methodology. I use qualitative method, so this which will use qualitative descriptive. It is commonly utilized in order to describe an experience or event that happens in reality as completely as possible, said Sandelovsky 2000. Research site and participants. In this research, the site is in Majapahit Islamic University, Jambon, Mojokerto, and the participants are from 6th semester in English Education Department. Data collecting and data analysis. Because the data will be gathered from observation, interview, and documentation, that is in the forms of words. Specifically, the data will be analyzed descriptively. This is affirmed by Firms and Schools 2002 that a descriptive study is focused on and administered in order to delineate the existing distribution of variables without regards to other hypotheses. The data. The researcher will analyze the data as follows. The lesson plan that developed by the teacher include indicators of competency achievement, objectives, materials, teaching activity, and assessment. I'm sorry, I forgot to erase this part. Also, I will analyze the data about how the implementing of the lesson plan in the class. Validity. Based on Anderson Inford's book Collaborative Action Research for English Language Teachers, this research will use process validity. Process validity is closely related to the dependability and competency of the research itself. In order to get this validity, the researcher observes the teaching. The researcher will observe the teaching and learning process by using observation sheets, findings, or daily notes, recording, documentation, or photograph, and interviewing the students and the teacher. Reliability. This research will use time triangulation as a reliability. It means that the data will collect over a period of time. The purpose is to get a sense of what factors are involved in change processes. In order to fulfill the time triangulation, the researcher will be interviewing the students and the English teacher before the implementation of the cycles, during the implementation of the cycles, and after the implementation of the cycles. So timeline, January is to preparation and design, February is to presenting, March is implementation and data collection, and April is data analysis and report compilation. This is my reference that I use for my proposal, and thank you. Maybe you guys can drop your question in the comments section. I think that's enough from me. Thank you for watching this video. See you in next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.